The NFL in 2016, where rookies revived the NFL's most popular franchise. The Raiders were actually dominant, and all signs pointed towards the Falcons hoisting their first ever Super Bowl trophy.
And Jones with a catch!
From one of the greatest catches of all time to OBJ's feud with the kicking net, the 2016 NFL season was truly iconic.
And he misses it! That's impossible!
Welcome to the NFL 10 years ago. There was so many incredible moments from that season, and honestly, I can't believe it's been that long. It felt like just yesterday I was watching the Browns' former quarterback converted to wide receiver Terrell Pryor having to play emergency quarterback because they had so many injuries.
Are you aware of the quarterback history here?
Yeah, there's been a lot of quarterbacks.
And for those of you who've been a fan of this series, this is year number 10. I started this YouTube channel back in October of 2016, and here I am doing this a decade later. It's safe to say that the 2016 season was a memorable one for me. So with all that said, let's go ahead and look at a few things that made this season unique. The NFL continued its color rush theme by going from 8 teams in 2015 to every team unveiling unique uniforms in 2016. This was done with the intention of having every Thursday night game be color rush themed. Some were dope, while others were not. The most popular players in the league at the time going by Instagram followers looked like the following, with OBJ far and away the most popular player, followed by Cam Newton and Russell Wilson. Seemingly every week, people were tuned in to something entertaining or controversial involving Beckham Jr. 2016's version of Madden featured Rob Gronkowski as the cover athlete. This was the final title built on the Ignite engine before EA switched to the Frostbite engine the following season. Madden 17 overall was underwhelming and didn't receive favorable reviews from users. But considering where the franchise is today, many look back at that game with nostalgia. For the real NFL, to give you an idea of the star players at the time, here were the top 10 players according to other players, as well as the average top 10 picks in fantasy drafts. Pretty crazy to think that of the players listed, only 3 are still currently active or free agents. And just to add to that, only 12 of the top 100 players from 2016 are still active. And amazingly, one of them is 6'8" defensive end Calais Campbell. Now for the rest of the video, we're going to move through 2016 chronologically, from the offseason all the way through the Super Bowl. Now we'll take a look at the most notable offseason moments. Coming off their Super Bowl 50 victory, Denver Broncos quarterback Peyton Manning decided to call it a career 1 month later.
For the win! Woo! Yes, sir!
This was one of quite a few legends who decided to retire. This included Charles Woodson, Logan Mankins, and Jared Allen.
Seeing how there's no sunset, I'm just gonna ride off.
These 4 previously mentioned were all somewhat expected considering their age, but there were 2 other retirements that shocked everybody.
I'm retired. I'm done. I'm not playing football anymore.
Marshawn Lynch announced his retirement during Super Bowl 50. He was only 29 at the time. And Calvin Johnson, coming off his 6th straight Pro Bowl season at the age of 30, also called it quits.
Why risk your health to play with the Detroit Lions? To play 16 games and then go home in a divisional playoff game if you're lucky?
This made him the 2nd Detroit superstar alongside Barry Sanders to hang it up still in their prime. Some of the other notable offseason moments included the Rams officially moving from St. Louis to LA, which sparked major outrage from St. Louis natives. And also, Deflategate finally concluded, resulting in the Patriots being fined $1 million, losing a 1st and 4th round pick in the NFL draft, and Tom Brady officially accepting his 4-game suspension to start the 2016 season.
Leave Tom Brady alone.
For official NFL rules, there were 2 noteworthy changes. Number 1, players were banned from wearing hoodies under uniforms, and number 2, coaches who were not the head coach were banned from entering the field of play. And this was due to the Joey Porter incident in the previous playoffs. Now taking a look at the biggest free agency moves and trades, perhaps the biggest headliner of the offseason was when Brock Osweiler declined the Broncos contract offer and instead took a massive $72 million deal to become the Houston Texans starter.
What is Brock Osweiler worth today? He's worth $18 million? to the Texans and he was worth 16 to the Broncos. I think the Texans got a heck of a deal with Brock Osweiler.
This was a huge gamble at the time, considering Osweiler had only a half a season of starting games under his belt. Also, the RG3 era in Washington was officially over, as he became a member of the Cleveland Browns. And perhaps the most head-scratching move of all was when the Panthers franchise tagged All-Pro Josh Norman. Then they rescinded the franchise tag and let him go sign elsewhere. For trades, prior to the preseason, there wasn't anything too crazy. Former rushing leader DeMarco Murray was sent to the Titans from the Eagles, and Chandler Jones was traded from the Patriots to the Cardinals. The 2016 NFL Draft took place in Chicago, Illinois, with the main storyline being the top two quarterbacks. The number 1 pick was Jared Goff, who went to the Rams, and the number 2 pick was Carson Wentz, who went to the Eagles. This happened after the Eagles traded up and made this selection, which didn't make starting quarterback Sam Bradford very happy, as he requested a trade and would later not show up to training camp. In the late first round, there was another quarterback selected, the Denver Broncos drafting Paxton Lynch. Lynch was a 6'6" mobile project who the Broncos were hoping would become the face of their franchise after Manning's retirement and Osweiler leaving for Houston. Along with the top 2 picks, there were some specimens in the top 10, which included Joey Bosa, Zeke Elliott, Jalen Ramsey, Ronnie Stanley, and DeForest Buckner. All 7 of these top picks went on to make a Pro Bowl at least once during their careers. Now for the biggest draft night story, that had to do with offensive tackle Laramie Tunsil. Many considered him the top tackle prospect in the class and perhaps the best overall prospect. The dude was a can't-miss top 5 pick. But then, just 10 minutes before the draft began, the infamous gas mask video surfaced on social media. The video showcased Tunsil smoking from a bong, and the whole ordeal caused many teams to remove Tunsil off their boards entirely. And because of this moment, Tunsil went from being a top 5 pick to going 13th overall. This drop cost him millions. Moving closer to the regular season, here were some of the main storylines dominating the talking points. Going into 2016, there were 7 new head coaches headlined by Chip Kelly to the 49ers. Kelly had a rough exit from Philly the previous year, but many still believed that he was an offensive mastermind. The 2 teams from the previous Super Bowl always receive a lot of media attention in the offseason, and this year was no different. For the defending Super Bowl champion Broncos, who was going to be their new quarterback after Peyton Manning retired? Well, a 3-way battle ensued between rookie Paxton Lynch, Mark Sanchez, and Trevor Siemian. And with the least hype of the 3, Siemian eventually won the job. For the Super Bowl losing Panthers, Cam Newton had received a ton of backlash after his Super Bowl performance and post-game moment with the media, where he was criticized by other players for his actions. And now without Josh Norman, how were the Panthers going to bounce back? Also, the Vikings opened up their new dome stadium, which had costed more than $1 billion. For New England, with Tom Brady serving a 4-game suspension, how are they going to be without him? It was time to see what backup Jimmy Garoppolo was all about. Now, moving into the preseason, Cowboys quarterback Tony Romo suffered a back injury that would knock him out for most of the season. But in his absence, 4th rounder Dak Prescott was balling out. While the Tony Romo news was devastating, Dak Prescott looked like he may be a viable option for the time being. In another injury situation, Vikings starter Teddy Bridgewater suffered a devastating knee injury in late August. This led the Vikings to scramble to find his replacement, eventually trading a 1st and conditional 4th round pick to the Eagles for Sam Bradford. This also meant that Carson Wentz was officially the starter in Philadelphia. Now, if we're going to be honest, all of these previously mentioned headlines pale in comparison to this last one.
49ers quarterback knelt instead of standing during the national anthem at last night's game.
During a Niners preseason game, Colin Kaepernick took a knee during the national anthem to protest racial injustice and police brutality. This sparked immediate backlash nationwide beyond just the world of sports. This would lead to more players taking a knee, not just in the NFL, but also in college and high school football, as well as other sports. And it pretty much became the biggest talking point around the NFL for a few years, both amongst fans and non-fans of the game. All of a sudden, it felt like the national anthem was a moment where people began to focus on looking around for players taking a knee. And by 2017, it had become such a massive talking point, especially with newly elected President Trump getting involved, that some teams opted to not even have their players go out there during the anthem to try and avoid any more backlash. NFL TV ratings dropped significantly in 2016 and even more so in 2017 due to this. And at the time, many felt like this was going to be a huge financial hit for the NFL. But if we're going to be honest, it wasn't. And a few years later, the NFL bounced back in terms of ratings, going on to record record viewership numbers. To get back to football, let's move on to projected team records, starting with the NFC. On screen will be their name, previous year's record, projected wins, and their expected quarterback. Going out west, the Cardinals were coming off that incredible 2015 season and run to the NFC title game. They were expected to still be competitive in a division that favored Seattle, who still had their core championship pieces outside of Marshawn Lynch. Up north, no surprise, the Packers were expected to win the division, and Teddy Bridgewater's injury made the gap between 1 and 2 even wider. Back east, this was expected to be the worst division in the conference, made even worse after Tony Romo's injury. With 2 rookie quarterbacks starting week 1, the winner of this division was expected to finish around 8-8. And lastly, down south, the Panthers were heavy favorites coming off their incredible 15-1 season the year prior. Assuming they could be at least close to as good as they were expected to cruise to another division title. Moving over to the AFC, out west, the division was considered up for grabs with Denver losing their top 2 quarterbacks. The Alex Smith-led Chiefs were definitely a playoff-worthy roster, and the Raiders had something cooking. Up north, the Ravens were expected to bounce back after an injury-riddled 2015. Other than the Browns, this was another division up for grabs, with the Steelers as the favorite. Back east, even with the suspension, the Patriots were expected to be the top dogs once again to no surprise. The Jets had a nice feel-good story in 2015, but they were expected to come back down to earth a bit. And lastly, down south, it was a battle between the new-look Houston Texans with Brock Osweiler and the Colts with Andrew Luck. If Luck could stay healthy, they were the slight favorites.
Eric Berry returned to the football field today just 8 months after he was diagnosed with cancer.
Please join us in welcoming back at safety.
Leading the division, 3rd and 6. Rush is coming. Off his back foot. It's intercepted. Eric Berry has got it for Kansas City. Looking for the angle, and he's in. Touchdown, Kansas City.
If you don't make this, you lose. Carr out of a shotgun. Looks left. Throws a lob for Michael Crabtree. Caught it! The Raiders have the lead!
I'm sitting here watching him pace up and down this sideline, but something that did happen, his wide receivers coach, Adam Henry, getting in his face, grabbing him, and telling him to knock it off.
And he's going to throw on first down to Julio Jones. Jones still on his feet. Julio Jones. And he's going to score. Lion time. Fires to the back of the end zone. Wow. Touchdown. On the field. You can't get it. Oh, that's classic.
That's the best one of the whole year so far.
He just sets the record. Yep. 163. It's ironic that it's Tom Brady's record who he breaks because a lot of comparisons between those two guys. Manning on the slant. Back up. Touchdown. Oh, he hits the upright. And the hole. Oh. And he misses it. That's impossible.
Play action. Carr on the move. Tosses it. And it's caught by Donald Penn.
It's Elliott. Elliott for the touchdown. No flags. 5 yards. Tyreek Hill will get room to run. And look out for Hill in the open field. Hill who's going to take this all the way. Touchdown. Ryan throwing, intercepted. Nobody's going to catch him.
All-time winningest quarterback is Tom Brady with his 201st win today.
It's broke. It's broke.
It's broke. It's broke. It's broke.
Bowling, looking, just going to throw it deep for Jones. Double coverage. Oh, what a catch! Touchdown!
Prescott toward the end zone. Bodies tangled.
Matt Berry to that list. Tyreek Hill playing that one from inside his own 10-yard line. And here he goes down the sideline for the touchdown.
In wrapping up the 2016 regular season, let's look at how every team finished compared to their projections, starting with the NFC. Going out west, it was a rough year for most of this division. The Seahawks got out to a hot start, but cooled off in the final weeks and finished about as expected. For the first time in 5 years, they didn't have the top defense in the NFL. Up north, things pretty much went as expected, minus the collapse of the Bears, which mostly had to do with them starting multiple quarterbacks. Cutler only played in 5 games due to injury, and this would end up being his final season in Chicago. Also, the Lions did find a way to make the playoffs without Calvin Johnson. Back east, the Cowboys shocked everybody with their rookie tandem of Dak and Zeke. Behind the best O-line in football, these guys looked like serious contenders. Also, the Giants were really good this year, finishing with their most wins in a season since 2008. And lastly, down south, the Falcons were also one of the league's biggest surprises with their dominant offense. And maybe more shocking than that was the collapse of the Panthers. They went from heavy favorites to win the division to finishing in last place. Moving on to the AFC, out west, the Chiefs and Raiders were both awesome in 2016. Kansas City was incredibly well-rounded and had a breakout rookie star in Tyreek Hill doing a bit of everything for them. Oakland had their best season by far since their Super Bowl run back in 2002. Derek Carr was an MVP candidate that season, but the injury that he sustained late in the year was a devastating blow. Up north, the Browns were the worst team in the league, and the Bengals disappointed. As expected, the Steelers came out on top. Back east, the Patriots were even better than expected with the league's top record. And the Dolphins had a nice surprise season, making the playoffs for the first time since 2008. The Jets really came back down to earth. And lastly, down south, the Texans took the tiebreaker to win the division. But despite making the playoffs, Brock Osweiler had been a huge bust, even getting benched at one point. Houston fans cheered when this happened. Next, here are the top 10 passers, rushers, and receivers from 2016. Matt Ryan's incredible season landed him the NFL MVP, as he led the league in passing yards per attempt, passer rating, and touchdown percentage. Rookie Zeke Elliott took the league by storm, leading the NFL in rushing by over 300 yards. Funny enough, the running back with the second highest amount of yards was also a rookie, Jordan Howard. Also, LeGarrette Blount kinda came out of nowhere to lead the NFL in rushing touchdowns with the Patriots. T.Y. Hilton had the best season of his career, topping the charts in receiving yards. But to be honest, the best receiver in football that year was Julio Jones. In his absolute prime, Jones made some jaw-dropping catches that season and looked virtually unstoppable with Matt Ryan. The Falcons had the offense to make a Super Bowl run. To kick off the postseason, Wildcard Weekend was a rough one in terms of entertainment. The Texans hosted the hobbled Raiders squad, who was forced to start rookie Connor Cook. Cook was making his first career start that day, and the Texans easily won. Later that day, the Seahawks crushed the Lions 26-6. Then on Sunday, the Steelers dominated the Dolphins, and the Packers crushed the Giants. In the divisional round, the Falcons continued their offensive excellence, dropping 36 against the Seahawks defense, and they advanced to their first NFC title game since 2012. Despite a losing effort, this was Devin Hester's final career game, and he went out with a bang, with multiple impressive returns. Later that day, the Osweiler-led Texans were no match for the mighty Patriots. New England cruised to a 34-16 victory. This meant that they had advanced to their 6th straight AFC Championship appearance. The following afternoon, we finally had a good playoff game. The Packers traveled to Dallas to play the Cowboys, led by Dak and Zeke. Green Bay took a commanding 28-3 lead, which held through the end of 3 quarters. But then a furious comeback by Dallas eventually tied things up, first at 28, then later at 31 with 40 seconds remaining. which was just enough time for Aaron Rodgers to create one of his most iconic moments. This pass set up the game-winning field goal as time expired. For the final divisional game, the Chiefs and the Steelers grinded out a low-scoring grudge match that saw 7 field goals made, 6 of which were by Steelers kicker Chris Boswell to set an NFL playoff record. In the end, those 6 field goals were enough to hold off the Chiefs. That and stopping a 2-point conversion late in the fourth quarter. Championship weekend. The first game played was the NFC title, where the Packers headed to Atlanta to try and slow down the league's top offense. Newsflash, they did not. The Falcons racked up almost 500 yards, scoring on 8 of their first 9 drives, and they won 44-21. It didn't seem like anyone had an answer for this prolific offense. Later, in the AFC Championship, the Steelers went to New England to try their shot at taking down the Patriots. However, the Patriots jumped out to a 10-0 lead and never looked back. A dominant third quarter led to the Patriots blowing out the Steelers 36-17. This meant that Super Bowl 51 was a matchup between the league's best offense in Atlanta versus the league's best overall team in New England. The Patriots were listed as 3-point favorites before the game, and most expected this to be a high-scoring game considering the offensive firepower both teams had. But early on, the first 5 drives combined resulted in 4 punts and a fumble. Then finally, that's when Atlanta kicked it in gear. And the second quarter went about as good as they could have hoped for, as they scored offensive touchdowns on back-to-back drives, then took an interception to the house to make it 21-0. With the game seemingly headed to being a blowout, this image of Brady diving trying to make the tackle but failing was almost certainly going to be the most memorable moment from this game. Early into the second half, the Falcons continued to control the game, and nearing the end of the third quarter, they held the now infamous 28-3 lead. With Atlanta fans everywhere celebrating and Patriots fans looking for the exits, that's when 39-year-old Tom Brady and the Patriots did the unthinkable. They scored a touchdown, forced a punt, scored a field goal, caused a fumble, scored another touchdown, forced another punt after sacking Matt Ryan out of field goal range, and scored another touchdown to tie things up at 28. This included a clutch 2-point conversion on their final touchdown. Unbelievable. Regulation would come to a close shortly after, and in overtime, the Patriots got the ball first. And minutes later, they scored the game-winning touchdown. This officially capped off one of the most unbelievable games in NFL history. To this day, the Falcons still haven't recovered, and the legendary 28-3 meme has become a staple of American sports culture over the last decade.
Chopping some burgers at halftime, saying this game feels like it should be 28-3 in favor of Minnesota.